Jason King's on the line.
Okay, I think I lost you there for a second. Okay, so Andrea, are you on the line?
I am. This is Andrea.
All right, great. How are you?
He wants to see
Good morning.
competition.
Dale Baber.
Test material?
Hi, Dale. Class material, there should have been two, actually there should have been one course reference guide that you should have downloaded. Actually, there should have been a couple.
Download it from.
Pardon me?
I didn't see it on the link before I get into the class.
Okay. Did you get a link to download the course reference guides?
Well, I had an email with this is Dale. I had an email with the manual attached to it. It says Intermediate Report Design Partner Workbook. That's what I have.
Okay, and Andrea, you didn't get a copy of it?
No, I did not get it.
Okay, well, make sure that everybody has a link to download the course reference guide. I apologize for that. I'm not sure why it wasn't included. Did anybody else not get it? Andrea?
Pardon me?
So yeah, I just wanted to make sure that I wanted to see if anybody else had not gotten a copy of the course reference guide. I'll make sure that you have a link to download the course reference guide by the end of the day today.
Okay, that'd be great.
Okay, great. Okay,
And
so
then, I also haven't, because I'm taking a class tomorrow, and I also haven't gotten a link for that one either.
no problem. We'll make sure that you get that as well.
Okay, great.
And I'll just do some investigation as to why that's not the case. Normally there's somebody in the office down in Irvine that takes care of all of that administrative stuff with respect to the link. So I'm not sure if it's an issue with the software or she forgot to include something, but in any case, I'll get it resolved.
And I will I'll send an email to Andrea right now with the attachment for today's class. So
okay, that sounds good. Thanks, Randy. Okay, Dennis, are you on the line?
You are now muted. You are no longer muted.
Getting soon. Jason, are you on the line?
Hi.
It's Dennis. I am on the line. I just had the line muted. Sorry.
Okay, no problem. How are you, Dennis?
I'm fine. How are you?
Oh, excellent. And Lisa, I'm not seeing you here in the call.
I'm here.
How are you, Lisa?
I'm good.
Good. Lisa, I'm not seeing you here on WebEx.
You are now muted.
Are you just joining now?
I'm actually hooked up to Dennis.
Oh, you are? Okay.
Service and what else?
No, that's fine. She's registered.
I have to log into sageu.com.
Okay, so everybody should see my cursor flashing around. If you don't see it, please let me know.
So Jenny and Lisa on. Okay.
So again, my name is Ian, and my co-instructor here is Randy. We'll both be presenting today. I'll probably be doing most of the talking. My contact information is as follows: ian.de_leon@sage.com. Randy's is here as well. My phone number is in the PowerPoint slides as well. It's listed toward the end of the presentation. There's going to be 5 of us here today. Actually, there's going to be 6 of us here today. If any of the points that I'm trying to make clear are in fact not clear, go ahead and interrupt me at any time, and I'll do my best to reiterate those points. This is the first time that these classes are being taught, so you're the guinea pigs, so to speak. If there's any questions that you might have that I might not be able to answer, again, we'll make sure that you have an answer in the next couple of days.
11 a.m.
Okay, I can hear some people talking in the background. If you want to talk in the background, or if you have dogs barking or babies crying, please put yourself on mute. If you don't have yourself mute button on your phone, you can mute yourself by pressing *6. As a matter of fact, if I can get everybody to press *6 now, please, that'd be great. To take yourself off of mute, please press the #6 button. As a matter of fact, I'm going to get everyone to introduce themselves in just a moment, so you will have to know how to use both of those buttons. So again, welcome to CSU. Today's this is going to be a 2-part class here today. It's intermediate report design using the new Sage ACPAC Intelligence modules. Basically, what I want you to do by the end of the classes here today is to become more familiar with the Sage ACPAC Intelligence modules. We're going to be going over 2 primary functions, namely the SAI Report Manager and the SAI Connector modules. I'm going to show you how to use and configure both of those modules, that you'll be able to bring the data over to the Excel such that you can create really nice looking reports. We're also going to go over deployment. I'm going to talk about the security and the licensing. There seems to be a lot of questions with respect to the way the licensing works for SAI, how that affects a couple of land packs and so on and so forth. So I'm going to make sure that, again, by the end of class today, you'll be able to set up the licenses appropriately, and you'll be able to configure this as a solution on client side. All right, so what are we going to do today? We'll start off with the class introductions, and then we're going to spend a bit of time talking about the concepts that were learned on the web. So I want to review some of the concepts there. Everyone here should have taken the material that was on the What's New 5.6 class on Sage ACPAC Intelligence. Hopefully everyone here is certified and well on their way to writing the 5.6 research exam. The 5.6 research exam does include a significant component on ACPAC Intelligence. It's all fairly straightforward. And again, if anybody wants to ask us any questions regarding that component of the exam, we'll be happy to answer them. We'll talk about the basic requirements, the additional requirements, and again, we're going to have a review of the architecture with SAI and ACPAC integration. Again, we'll spend a good deal of time today talking about the report manager, and we'll also have a look at discussing the SAI component, the connector component. You have to know both of those components fairly well to be able to create good reports. And of course, we're going to spend a bit of time actually creating the reports here in class. What I might do, since this is not a virtual lab, is you could either do some of these reports on your own window if you have Sage ACPAC Intelligence open, or what I can do is we can also make this interactive. So for those of you that don't have ACPAC Intelligence ready to go, we can all build some of these reports together. Okay, so there's a saying that I put this in the wrong order, but there's a saying, you've all heard this before, give a man a fish, you fed him for a day, but you teach a man how to fish, you fed him for the rest of his days. So what I'm going to do in this class is I'm going to give you the tools that you need to be able to create good reports. So in other words, what I'm trying to do today is I'm going to teach you guys how to fish. But before we get started, I want you to introduce yourselves to the rest of the class. I think I know most of the people that are on this list. I know that you've been doing ACPAC for a long time. But still, it's a good idea to introduce yourself to the rest of the class. What I want you to do is state your name, the company that you work for, what your role is in the company, and what your favorite pastime is. If any of that information, of course, is confidential, you don't want to give it out, you don't have to. But I think it's a great way to meet everyone. So what I want to do in this case is I'm going to start from the top of my list here. And what I want to do is I want to start with Alicia. So Alicia, did you want to introduce yourself to the class?
Thank you, Randy. I'm Alicia Graham. I work with Net at Work in New York City. I've been using ACPAC for too many years, I can't remember now. And I'm ACPAC team lead here for our ACPAC team. And my favorite pastime is, let's do reading.
Reading?
Yes.
Oh, that's awesome. Have you played with one of those Kindles or the...
I do have a Kindle.
Oh, you have a Kindle?
I do.
And how do you like it?
I really love my Kindle.
Oh, that's awesome.
It's updated, but I really love it. I need new books on there now. You just can't find the time to get online and get some new...
And get some new books?
Yeah.
I got my girlfriend a Sony e-reader for Christmas. She really likes it, but she still uses both e-reader and I guess the good old classic books.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm.
I'm not. I'm just all Kindle now. I don't have everything on the Kindle though, so yeah, I guess that's why she does both. Okay.
Thanks, Alicia.
Okay.
Okay, Andrea.
Hi, I'm Andrea Appleby. I'm with Axoft Associates in Denver. I'm a partner, and my favorite pastimes are rock climbing, skiing, and mountain biking.
Wow. That's awesome. So you're a total outdoors person.
Yeah.
Have you been to Whistler yet?
I have actually. I've skied at Whistler and I've climbed at Cheesehead.
Oh, the Chief in Squamish.
Squamish, yeah.
I did it a few times, almost died, but...
Skiing or climbing?
Oh, climbing, Chief. I snowboard myself, so
okay,
quite
yeah.
often.
Yeah, that's great.
But with the Olympics, I've been staying away.
Yeah, I bet.
Okay, and what's your experience with the ACPAC Intelligence product?
I have gone through the little tutorial, the little free thing, and been playing with it a little bit.
Okay.
Very little.
Okay. Well, that's great to hear that you've been playing with it. So we'll make you a better person with respect to report writing and ACPAC Intelligence. Thanks, Andrea. And Alicia, I forgot to ask you, what is your experience with the ACPAC Intelligence module?
Pretty much the same.
Okay.
Been through a couple of presentations on it and looked at the online course.
Okay, awesome. Thank you. And Dale?
Yes, my name is Dale Baver. I'm a partner in MSI Technologies. Been working with the ACPAC forever. I guess my favorite pastime, I'm way past rock climbing in my age. So really these days my favorite pastime is following the Philadelphia Phillies. You know? Been an old, long-time baseball fan, so it's kind of boring compared to rock climbing and everything, but that's where I'm at. As far as experience with ACPAC Intelligence,
You are no longer muted.
anytime training and just reading through the manual and working a little bit with it.
Okay, so everyone's had a chance to tinker around with the... had a chance to tinker and do a few reports?
Really tinker around.
Great. Thank you. Jason?
Hi, yeah, I'm Jason King. I work with Sage, and I work in the PSG department. Been working on Insight implementations for several years, and just am here to get more information on the new ACPAC Intelligence. I have been writing reports with it already.
All right, awesome. So Jason can help me teach the class. Yeah, thanks, Jason.
Yeah, no problem.
And I think I missed someone here, Dennis?
Yeah, my name is Dennis Pedwell, and I'm from CA Plus in Toronto. I'm a project manager and business analyst for the company, and my favorite pastimes are photography and astronomy.
Sounds like very expensive hobbies.
They can get that way. I photograph guys like you climbing Chief said.
Thanks, Dennis. So what's your experience again with the ACPAC Intelligence module?
Only what I got during the Delta training for 5.6.
Okay. All right, so no problem. Again, what I'll do is we'll come from it from the angle that everyone's had just a little bit of experience with it, so I'm going to make
You are now muted.
that with respect to what's going on. Does anybody have any does anyone have any topics that they want to see covered that wasn't listed on the agenda?
This stuff is
Is it related to this?
no.
Okay, so again, what we're trying to do here is we're trying to get you to be able to create basic reports using the SAI module. So what I'm going to do, you weren't really given the opportunity to ask any questions with respect to what was happening on the online training, obviously. So I'm going to quickly go over some of the material that was covered in the online training. Hopefully it's not just going to be a rehash of what's up there, but I'm going to try to add some other material there as well. So in the Essentials class that you take it online, it was a very, very high-level overview of the SAI module. We touched base on SAI deployment and configuration, although it wasn't covered in its entirety, and I hope to do that this morning. We looked at all of the reports, or a good chunk of the included reports that came with SAI. And again, near the end, there was a couple of demonstrations on how to extract some of the data that exists in the ACPAC database and get that information to appear in a meaningful way in Microsoft Excel. So what I'll do is I'm just going to review the core concepts of that here. So again, exactly what is ACPAC Intelligence? Intelligence, well, we know that it's an Excel-based reporting tool. And this reporting tool will give you access to all modules, and what you're able to do is you're actually able to query off multiple databases simultaneously. And of course, all of this is done through the familiar Microsoft Excel module. When you install Sage Actpack version 5.6, it doesn't include a lot of reports. A lot of these reports include reports both of a financial nature, and it also includes reports that, for example, will show you your sales history, will show you your item master, and will show you a dashboard. Note that this module again ships for free. You have a one-user license for free with version 5.6. As of last week, for those of you that had users on version 5.5, the Actpack Intelligence module is now available for purchase for those users that are using version 5.5 and have not yet gone to 5.6. All right, please don't put yourself on mute, and don't forget that if you put yourself on mute, the entire class can hear the whole music. If you can, please mute yourself. *6 will put yourself on mute. So again, a lot of questions have been asked. This was addressed in the online training, but people want to know what the difference is between the different utilities. So we have another reporting utility. There's quite a few reporting utilities that we have. There's the GL, Financial Reporter. We have Crystal Reports, and we also have the Insights module. So what's the difference between Actpack Intelligence and Financial Reporter? Is the Actpack Intelligence intended to replace the Financial Reporter? Well, if we have a look at the Actpack Intelligence modules, we know that similar to the Financial Reporter, SAI, all of its reports are designed in Microsoft Excel, or at least the data is designed within Microsoft Excel. The key differentiating feature between Intelligence and the Financial Reporter is that in Actpack Intelligence, you are able to create reports based on data other than just financial data. And of course, in the Financial Reporter, you can only create reports that are specific to the financials tables. Is SAI going to replace the Financial Reporter? There is no, and the answer to that question is no. The SAI program is not intended to replace the Financial Reporter program. If you are creating pure financial reports, it is still quite a bit easier to create those reports using the FR compared to SAI. So again, there's a time and a place for both of these reporting tools. How does SAI compare to the Crystal Reports program? Well, in Crystal Reports, what does that do? Again, the Crystal Reports program is an application all by itself where the report is designed strictly within Crystal Reports. You can use the Crystal Reports program to create reports off data that resides within the database, all within that application. However, with the SAI product, again, with the SAI product, what you need to do is you have to be able to extract the data from the database using the connector and the report manager utilities, and you'll manipulate the data around in the Actpack Intelligence product. Well, in Actpack, as you well know, all of the reports are created, or most of the reports, except for the non-financial reports, are created using the Crystal Reports modules. Are we going to be creating reports that use strictly SAI? And the answer to that, of course, is no. That's not the plan. Why would you want to use the Actpack Intelligence product? Well, the Actpack Intelligence product, you probably want to use that, or certain people in the organization would want to use that if they have a need to be able to manipulate financial and non-financial data around in the Excel program. That's the big need for the SAI product. Does anybody have any questions on how SAI compares to either GL or Crystal? Okay, so basic stuff here. Again, with the SAI product, there are different modules that are available within the SAI product, different icons. You have the report manager. I'm going to go into this in more depth later. You have the report viewer. You have the security manager, the license manager. connector component and the analysis components. We're going to go into all of these, an in-depth discussion into all of these components and icons here in just a moment. So again, what's included with ACPAC version 5.6 and ACPAC version 5.6, you do get a free license to use the SAI product. Specifically, what you do is you have a free license for the Report Manager product.
The question I want you to ask him is, can we
There are
use,
9 free financial reports that ship with ACPAC Intelligence.
ACPAC 5.5? Because that's what.
And you have the ability to customize these reports using the Report Manager product. You can also create, to some extent, brand new reports using the existing containers. I'm going to talk about the concept of a container in in-depth detail in just a little bit.
And then just send a message. Can you use?
What can you purchase? What is available for purchase? Well, if you want to be able to have more people design reports, what you can do is you can purchase additional Report Manager licenses. You can also purchase additional Report Viewer licenses. So Report Manager allows you to do 2 functions. You can view reports using the Report Manager license. And you can also create reports using the Report Manager license. The Report Viewer allows you to run reports that have already been predefined within the SAI module. A connection license is also available for purchase, and you can also purchase what's called an analysis license. Basically, if you want to be able to run or create what are called cube reports, you will need to purchase an analysis license. So a quick recap, what other software is needed? You need to have Sage ACPAC ERP version 5.5, and again, that just became available last week, or version 5.6. So if you have clients that want to run SAI in version 5.5, they will have to purchase the module. Or if you can, even better, get them to upgrade to version 5.6 and purchase the, they'll get at least the 1 Report Manager license. The client will need to have Microsoft Excel 2007 or 2003. If they have Excel 2003, and if they don't need to run any of the cube reports, Excel 2003 will be fine. However, if they want to be able to run the cube reports, they will need to have Microsoft Excel. With respect to the database engines, the clients need to have SQL Server version 2005 or later, or Pervasive SQL version 10 or later. If they're running older database engines, they have not been supported. I'm not sure how it will work with the ACPAC Intelligence modules. Hey, does anybody have any questions with respect to the requirements? No questions? Pretty basic stuff here so far. A quick review of the Report Manager, exactly what was covered in the Essentials class. The Report Manager, again, basically allows you to create and design reports. You can also use the Report Manager to do things you can specify exactly, for example, what exactly is going to be shown on the list of reports that are available to view. You can control what sub-reports can be seen by the user. And again, we're going to have a look at this in just a moment. I'm going to give you a full tour of the Report Manager program. As you probably can tell here, I'm not really a big fan of these PowerPoints. So what I might do, this might just, I know that you've all been using ACPAC for a long time, so what I think I might do is I might skip over these PowerPoints, and I actually just might get down into the meat of the program. Let's do that. Okay, so is that good if I do that, or does anybody want to keep on with this review of what was covered in the intelligence class?
No.
Good to me.
What's that? Just get into that program?
Yeah.
Let's go into the program.
All right, let's go to the program.
Recognize the yeah.
Okay, so let's talk about, what I want to do first of all then is I want to talk about deploying you need to know with respect to the deployment of the product. Let's talk about deploying licensing and security. I'm going to share my desktop here. Okay, so when you install the ACPAC Intelligence product, as you know, when you install the System Manager, you have the option to install the Sage ACPAC Intelligence product. By default, it is selected. And of course, for you to be able to run ACPAC Intelligence, that program has to be activated. I don't think there's any need for me to go into the activation component, because we all know how to do that. Okay, so our question here is, when you run the ACPAC Intelligence program, does it use a LAN pack, or does it not use a LAN pack? Okay, so if you launch ACPAC, when you launch ACPAC after you've activated the Sage ACPAC Intelligence product, you are at this point using a LAN pack, of course. So when you go into Sage ACPAC Intelligence, these are the icons that you have access to here. It is possible for you to start the report viewer, the report manager connector, or the analysis program outside of ACPAC. And by doing that, you are not going to consume a LAN pack. So the other way to launch the Sage ACPAC Intelligence product is if you click on Start, All Programs, in my case. If I select Sage ACPAC, there's an icon here called Sage ACPAC Intelligence. So if I run Sage ACPAC Intelligence, in this method, I'm asked to log into the company. What I'm able to do is I'm able to actually use this product without using a LAN pack license. Okay, so when I launch ACPAC Intelligence outside of the box, outside of ACPAC, again, I can run these 4 components without having to worry about consuming a LAN pack. There's one thing that I want to show you here that you should be well aware of, and this is going to make more sense later on. When I click on Sage ACPAC Intelligence, if I was to launch, for example, the Report Viewer product, I shouldn't have used the Report Viewer, but you'll notice that it says SAMINC here. It'll say Report Viewer. If I double click on Report Manager, what it does is that it actually launches the Report Manager. And again, since Report Manager program actually runs outside of the ACPAC product, it should be known that this is actually running not as an ACPAC process. So it is possible for me to actually shut down the ACPAC program, and I will still have the Report Manager product running in the background. Why is that important to know? That is extremely important to know because of the fact that if you've created a report based off of specific containers, what's going to happen here is that any reports that you run here out of the Report Manager may actually query a different database. Okay, so that's again very, very important to realize that. So if I start SAMINC and then exit out of ACPAC and then log into SAM Limited, if the Report Manager is still run, what you want to do is you want to check the database that's running here and make sure that the report that you run is actually querying the appropriate database.
Do you have it running?
I have it running, but how can you check it?
All right, let's go back into ACPAC here.
Active company. But that's in the report, not in the viewer.
Okay, so when you install the Sage ACPAC ERP product along with the ACPAC Intelligence product, there's a few other things that you should know here as well. Where do the programs reside? By default, if you choose the default installation, the shared data directory goes to C. Program files, Sage software. In my case, it's a little bit different. Okay, so you have to know with respect to Sage ACPAC Intelligence? Well, first of all, you have to know that the ACPAC Intelligence product installs to a directory called BX56A. So again, all of the appropriate programs reside in this folder here. Now, there's also data that is maintained by the Sage ACPAC Intelligence product. If I go back into my shared data directory, you'll notice that there exists a subfolder here that is called BX Data. So this is the folder where the metadata, the Excel templates, and other information that is directly related to the reports that you create are all stored in the BX Data directory. So it is important that whenever you make backups, make sure that this BX Data folder is also backed up along with all ACPAC system and company databases, along with the site, the user, the company folders, and the license files. Does anybody have any questions on that? Okay, fairly straightforward.
Where's the directory?
Okay, so license files, there's also license files that pertain directly to all of the report manager, a connector, and the analysis files. They all start with B, and they all, of course, exist in the usual shared data directory. I don't think there's any real need for me to go into that. All right, well, let's talk about the various icons here. So again, what we've done in the Sage ACPAC Essentials class is we've shown you the various reports that exist within ACPAC with respect to SAI. Now, what icons can we use to run those reports? Can we use the connector module to run the report? No, we can't use the connector module to run the report. We can use either the report manager icon, or we can use the report viewer icon. When I double click on the report viewer icon, I'm able to see a list of all of the reports that ship by default with SAI. So these are the reports here. I can see there's something here called Sage ACPAC built-in reports. I actually created this folder, this group. I can see the analysis reports, and I can see all of the reports that currently exist. This, of course, all controlled by the report manager. If I want to be able to run any of these reports, first of all, I have to make sure that I have the appropriate license to, in fact, run that report. Now, when you first install the SAI product, you can't go to the report viewer or the report manager icons without first assigning a license to the user that's going to be that's going to be running those SAI reports or tools. I want to talk about a couple of icons here. First of all, I want to talk about the security manager icon as well as the license manager icon. What I'm going to do first of all is talk about the license manager icon. I'm going to talk about, again, SAI licenses. When you first install the SAI program, there is no license that is assigned to any of the users that exist in the system. All right, let's have a look at this UI and let's see what's going on. So when I start up my license manager, in the first field, there's something here called connector license. If I have an actual connector license, it'll actually say yes here. Now, when you install Sage ACPAC Intelligence, you will not have access to a connector license unless you purchase that license. Same is true with the analysis license. The analysis license allows you to run OLAP Cube reports. And again, that's something that needs to be purchased separately. So by default, after you install the SAI product, the analysis license will say no, unless you enter in the appropriate activation code for that license. When you install Sage ACPAC Intelligence, you do get a free report manager license. You don't get a free report viewer license. However, the report manager allows you to both create reports and it also allows you to view reports. As you can see here, there's a value of 1 that exists in this box, meaning that I have 1 license available to assign to a user. In Sage ACPAC Intelligence, when I assign a license to someone, it asks for their ACPAC user ID, and it also knows which workstation they're allowed to use the product. So in other words, the license is tied to both the username as well as the workstation. So in this case, I'm going to be logged in primarily as the admin user. If I click on the add button here, I'm going to specify, first of all, the ACPAC user. So when I click on that add button, under user, there exists a drop-down box. When I click on the drop-down box, I can specify the appropriate user that will have access to the license. I'll be logged in as admin most of the time, and under the license type, I'm also going to specify the appropriate license. Is it the report manager, or is it going to be the report viewer license? In this case, it's going to be the report manager license. As you can see where it says report viewer, I have 0 licenses to distribute. So if I click on report viewer, I get an error message stating that I have 0 report licenses available. What I'm going to need to do, I'm going to have to go back into my add license box. I'm going to select admin, and the license type is going to be report manager. So the admin is now allowed to use the report manager. And right now, a workstation hasn't been assigned to this user. However, the next time that I start up a Sage ACPAC Intelligence icon, for example, the connector icon, the admin user is now using the connector license. If I go into the report manager, the same is true with the report manager. Now what happens behind the scenes, and this is important to know, is that the admin user is now allowed to use the report manager at this workstation. So when I go into my license manager, you'll notice that the workstation name is assigned to this particular user, the admin user. If the admin user goes to a different workstation, let's say it's going to be W02, I'm going to actually get an error message stating that that user is not permitted to use the report manager license at the second computer. Is this making sense? I know this wasn't really covered in the online training, so I'm just bringing that up here. If I wanted to be, if I wanted the admin user to be able to access report manager program at a different computer, what has to happen? Well, what has to happen is that I have to go into license manager, and what I can actually do within the license manager is I can actually remove the license and I can rename it. So in this case, what I can do is I can highlight the user. I'm going to click on the add button. The license I'm going to add, I can add the admin user back, and I'm again going to assign the report manager license. So now I can log in at the second workstation. That's the way the license manager is used in this case. If I wanted to be able to purchase additional licenses, let's say for the report viewer, what I would do is I would go to my license manager under admin services, and I'd enter the appropriate activation codes and product ID numbers as necessary, like I usually do. All right, let's have a look at the security manager. The security manager is used to be able to define which users. You can use it to assign users to groups, and you can also state which groups are going to have access to what reports. Obviously, that's very, very important. So in the way that Sage ACPAC Intelligence works is that it looks at the the user who is logging into ACPAC Intelligence, and before the report runs, it actually verifies that that user has access to the report that is going to be run. So right now, by default, the security is turned off, so that is only going to be enforced if the security is on. Right now, there's a couple of roles here by default. I have my administrator's role, and I also have my user's role. So these are the users here, and these are all of the users that have been assigned to the user's role. If I click on the Reports tab, I have a list of all of my reports that currently exist within my ACPAC Intelligence. Any report that you create within ACPAC Intelligence Report Manager is going to be listed here in the Reports tab. And I can specify what reports any particular group has access to. So again, I think that's fairly straightforward. So in this case, users that are assigned to the users group, the users role, will have access to only the reports that have the check marks here. I have the Select All button. I have my Sort By buttons here as well. I don't think they require any further explanation. Does anybody have any questions with respect to the setup of user report security? Okay, so we've looked at the security manager, we've looked at the license manager. We know what the report manager or what the report viewer does, and we know how the report manager works. Kind of, I'm going to develop into that in much more detail in just a moment. Well, what about the other license, the connector license? I want to talk about the connector license because, again, it's kind of it seems to be a little bit vague with respect to the people that I've talked to exactly what the connector is used for and why people would need to purchase the connector license. Have a look, or let's compare this to the Crystal Reports program because this might be a little bit different. With the Crystal Reports program, if the user wanted to be able to modify or create brand new reports from scratch, such that they can be run in ACPAC, they would need to purchase the Crystal Reports program. If the end user did not want to create the reports from scratch, but they wanted if they wanted the end user, or sorry, their business partner to create those reports, no problem. The business partner would create the reports using the Crystal Reports program, and they can simply bring that report back to the client site, and the report would run without any problems. That's not necessarily true. That same model is not necessarily true with ACPAC Intelligence. If you wanted to be able to import reports that were created by the business partner, so that is if your client wants to be able to use reports that you've created from them, they would actually need the connector component to be able to import those reports. The connector component is actually used to specify the data sources and which tables the report manager is going to report off of. So if they need to be able to report off of tables or data sources that are not listed in the default connections, again, the user would need to purchase the connector module. I'm going to come to this. I'm going to talk about this later on today. So if that's not clear, it will be very, very clear by the end of the day here today. Let's have a look at running a report. Again, this is still a bit of a brief review that was covered in the first class, but still a good idea to do this. Okay, so what I'm going to do here is I'm going to run one of my financial reports. I'm going to run, let's say, my financial reports D report. Actually, I'll make it my summary report. So I highlight the report that I wish to run. In this case, it's going to be S, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on the Run button. appropriate financial year. And what I need to do you have to be very, very careful when you enter these years. What I recommend that you normally do is click on the ellipsis button here, and I can specify the appropriate year. Now I'm running a report on the ACPAC version 5.6 data, so that report, or that data is now in the year 2020. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on OK.
It has its own code for the reports.
And the report is going to run.
Don't we report on this?
It has its own folder. It's not, we just group them differently. Copy of CEPC, copy of, copy of.
Okay, normally what we have to do when we run one of these reports is that we have to click on the Categories tab, and we have to map the appropriate account groups to the appropriate categories. That's already been done. And what I can do here is I can select the appropriate report. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use my actuals, periods 1 through 12. I'm going to run an income statement. I'm going to click on the income statement button, and I'm going to click on OK. So what's happening here is that the information is being queried by the connector, and the report viewer is actually grabbing the information and placing them here in the Microsoft Excel document. And my report has now been generated. Has everyone had a chance to look at the various reports that ship with ACPAC Intelligence with respect to the financials?
This is Andrea. It's been a couple weeks since I looked at them.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't really look at them in detail. It did have, like, when you just showed.
Mm-hmm. So you haven't looked at this particular report before?
Yeah, just a little bit, but I didn't get in. I couldn't figure out how you did it. That's where I got stuck. I could see that you did it, but that's what I'm hoping I'm going to see in the class.
Okay, we're going to go over a lot of this today, so don't you worry. Okay, so in this case, what can I see? Well, basically, I'm seeing an income statement. I didn't really do anything myself. Sage ACPAC Intelligence did all the work. This is the financial report S income statement. So what can I do with this income statement? Well, basically, it's an income statement. I can see that I have comparatives of the various quarters here. And what I'm able to do is I can do things like I can drill down, for example, to certain data. So, for example, if I wanted to look at the history for 4000, if I click on add-ins, what I can do here, if I wanted to see, for example, a specific month, I can click on the Change Month button up here and specify the period for which I want to see data. For example, it can be May 2020.
You are no longer muted.
Down to 4000, what I can do is click on Report Tools and then select the drill down.
Yeah.
I'll talk more about this here in a moment.
Ian?
Yes?
It's Dennis. Sorry, none of this is coming through on the screen.
Okay, is anybody else not seeing this?
Yeah, this is Jason. I had the same problem.
Yeah, Ian, myself as well. I just sent you a chat about it.
Okay, I can see the thing. Okay, no problem.
Same thing. We're seeing a black screen.
Okay, thanks for letting me know.
It actually turned into like a nice strobe light. So.
Hey, can you see my Sage ACPAC Intelligence window here?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, great. Let's try this again. I'm again going to share my desktop. So anytime that happens, again, please let me know.
That's better.
Okay, so you guys can see all of this now?
Yep.
Okay, great.
You are now muted.
All right, so let's start that again. Basically, what I've done to create this financial report, or to display this financial report, is I've double-clicked on the Report Manager. I can also view this financial report right from the report viewer icon. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go into my the appropriate reports folder. I should just let you know that with respect to what you actually see when you first start ACPAC Intelligence, maybe I'll do it this way. I'm going to double click on financials. This is what I have, and I have various financial reports here. I have 5 different financial reports that I can run. Within the financial reports D, S, and SB, I actually have various income statements and balance sheets that exist within those reports. And the reason why I didn't run one of these reports is because of the fact that I'd have to map the categories, which is fine. I'll show you how to do that later. But when you initially demo this, for example, to a prospective client, you're not going to want to do things like map the accounts. So what I've done is I've created copies of these reports, and I've done the mapping all in advance. So for example, again, what I'm going to do is I'm going to run one of my financial reports. I select the financial report that I wish to run. I'll go over the UI here in a moment, and I'm going to hit the go button here. Basically, I'm selecting a report that I wish to run. And I'm going to specify, again, the year, start period, and the end period. Again, this is just a demonstration of one of the financial reports that are shipping with SAI. Well, that problem doesn't happen again.
I usually even put my own. I just leave that empty. I typically leave that empty. And leave that empty. I think that's must have changed it.
Okay, hopefully nobody's having problems. Is everybody still seeing this? Yes, I can see it. Okay, great. Okay, so again, this is a financial report that I'm just running here in this case. This one here has been modified a little bit. This is the financial reports D. So I can see my costs, my revenues, and they are divided out into the appropriate periods here.
I don't know what it is. Okay, so now we go into ACPAC. Should be information.
You'll notice that in this particular report, they are grouped. I actually create the groupings in advance as well. And this is the appropriate report here. If I wanted to be able to again drill down on certain data, for example, my revenue, what I can do is click on add-ins. I can, for example, change the month for which I want to perform the drill down. For example, it can be April, it can be May to March. And if I wanted to actually drill down to the report, what I can do is click on the drill down button here. I don't have my drill down set defined for this report, so I won't do that. I won't do that here. I'll show you how to create the drill down later on. This is how I get the report to actually display. There's other reports that I can run as well. For example, I can run my dashboard report. I made copies of the dashboard report as well. I won't show that to you. Most of you have probably looked at that already. So if I wanted to run the dashboard report, I simply highlight the appropriate report, and then I click on the run button up here. Okay, so one of the things that you might have done already is you might have created a report. Some of you may not have done this, but you might have actually run the report. If you have this on your own, if you have this up and running on your own computer as well, you can also do this. But if I double click on my report manager or my report viewer, let's do this again. I'm going to run my financial reports S report one more time. One more time, I select the appropriate group in which the report resides. I select the appropriate report that I wish to run, and I click on the this run button. I'll key in the appropriate year. report, when it's run for the very first time, I normally again have to map the appropriate categories here. Once the account groups were mapped to the appropriate categories, I select the report that I wish to run. So again, there are different income statements that you can choose here. If I wanted to run a balance sheet, or any of the criteria that's defined here in the left-hand pane, I simply click on the appropriate balance sheet report. So I'm going to run this report one more time. The actuals periods 1 through 12 for the quarters that list the totals for each quarter as well as the year-to-date. When I click on the income statement, I can name my sheet. I'm going to call it income statement. And what does it do? Well, it creates a brand new worksheet in Microsoft Excel. And again, you'll notice that these numbers aren't formatted. So again, a macro is running here. You'll know how to do all of this stuff by the time the course ends. I might want these rows to automatically fit all of the numbers by default, so I can do the appropriate formatting here. I might want the font to be a little bit different. If I wanted to be able to, for any of these reports that I'm currently running, if I want them formatted in a certain way automatically, it is possible for me to do that. And I can do that by linking a report to what is called a template. So these aren't fitting initially. I might want this to be a little bit bigger. So instead of doing that every single time, what I can do is I can actually link this particular report back to what is called a template. And this is going to be done not only for these reports, but it will be done for the reports that you do create. Now, if I wanted to be able to save this report, again, what did I do is I made changes to the columns, the first 4 columns here, as well as made this bigger. If I wanted that to automatically take place when I run this report again, what I need to do is I have to link this report back to a template. So again, what I can do is go back to my report manager from which I ran the report. In this case, this is the financial reports S that I ran. And to link this particular report back to a template, what I'm going to do is I am going to click on this Create and Link Template button. So this is a template called Copy of Financial Reports S-3-0, which is simply the name of this report. Where does this template reside? This template again resides in the Shared Data directory under BX Data. There's a subfolder there called Templates. So this template resides in that directory. So, telling me that the report has options to place parameters in the second worksheet set.
Hey, Ian?
Yeah?
Can you just go over that again?
Sure, absolutely. Okay, so what I'm doing here, it might not seem clear right away, but again, when we look at this process from start to finish, it will become clear. I'm just kind of trying to reiterate some of the stuff that was on the replay. Okay, so what is it that I'm trying to solve for here? What am I trying to accomplish? Well, what I've done is I've ran one of these predefined reports. When I ran the predefined report, namely the Copy of Financial Reports S30, I've made some changes. I've changed the size of the font here, and I've also resized some of the columns that exist. I've resized columns F, G, H, I. I'm not going to make it pretty, so I'm just going to use these columns here. If I was to run this report again without linking this report to a template, what would happen is that I'd have to resize these columns every single time. I'd have to resize the letterhead every single time. If I want to insert a logo into the report, I can do that, and I can save the report as a template. So what I'm trying to do to prevent having to do all of this work every single time is I'm trying to save, or I'm trying to link the report to a template. So what I do is I run the report, I make the appropriate changes. When the changes have been made in my Excel worksheet, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back to my report manager. Sorry for using these interfaces here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back to my report manager. I won't use any shortcuts. It's a little bit confusing. Where's my report manager? Where did it go? So again, this is still open. Here's my report manager here. When my report manager is open, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to the name of the report that was just run, and this is my financial report S. And don't worry, everybody's going to get a chance to do this. And what I'm going to do is I am going to click on a button here called Create and Link Template. Alternatively, what I can do, rather than using this toolbar, is I can actually right-click on the report that I wish to link the template to, and then select Create and Link Template. Now it's going to ask me for the name of the Excel workbook that I wish to link the template to. Right now, this is the only workbook that I have open. I'm going to click on OK. I'm now given the question, the report has the option to place parameters on the second worksheet set. The report requires the contents of the second sheet or the workbook to be cleared first. Is this okay? I'm going to say yes. I'm asked to specify the template name. I'm just going to use the default template name, which is Copy of Financial Reports S30. I'm going to click on OK. Template file already exists. I know that it already exists. I'm just going to click on yes, I want to replace the file. This is an Excel template, as you can see. And what's happened is that the template is now being created, in this case overwritten. Now I get the message the template was created successfully and linked to the report. Okay, so I've made the change in the financial reports S3. Alright, so let's say that I shut down ACPAC and I come back and I want to print the report here the next day. Is that possible for me to do? It is possible for me to do. So again, I'm going to fire up ACPAC Intelligence. And I'm going to click on my report manager. And what I'm trying to do here is I'm trying to rerun that report. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to click on Financials, or sorry, Sage ACPAC Built-in Reports, because this is the report that was being run. I'm going to select my Financial Reports S30. And to run this report, again, there's a couple of ways that I can run the report. I can highlight the report that I wish to run, and then click on the Run button on the toolbar. Or I can right-click on the report that I wish to run, and I can select Run. Which year am I running this report? 2020. Medium master ready, no problem. When this report is running, I can see down here, I can see my job ID, I can see the name of the report that was being running, and I can see how long it takes to generate the report. Now when this report runs, it actually looks at the template and it looks at how the report is to be formatted. And as you can see, when I run this report, what happens? Well, my columns are the size that I want it to be, and this is formatted as how it should be. Does that make sense?
Yeah, this is Andrea. I have a question. Because you had multiple options you could run. You know, there are multiple income statements and multiple balance sheets.
Yes.
Can you create within the same template a run for multiple of them?
Yes, you can. Absolutely. I believe that's the case anyway. So let me think about that one. So if we want to go down, if you want to, are you asking me if you want to run, let's say, a balance sheet? Can you run a different template?
Well, no. So let's say you go back to the menu and you ran the balance sheet and created a tab for that. So you had like 5 that you were always going to run. You formatted them all so you see the tabs going across the bottom. When you go to save that, is it for the tab that's active, so you're really only saving the template for...
Oh, I see what you're asking. That's a really good question. Let's actually try it, because I don't know. Let's run that here.
Okay, thanks.
Okay. I try to anticipate these questions in advance, but... so in that case, if I was to run a different report, let's see what it's going to use.
So she's asking me...
The name, the file... So this is the name of the file here. The report name is Copy of Financial Reports S30. Where does that template reside? In this case, a single template is going to reside for that file. So while it's running, just so you know where it resides, it's by default in the ACPAC shared data directory. I have a folder here called BX Data. Again, this should be backed up. Under BX Data, there's a folder here called SQL. Under SQL, there's a folder here called Templates. Now, the name of the template is equal to the name of the report by default. Now, I did create, or the report that I'm running here is Copy of Reports S30. So when you save the template, what it's going to do in this case is that it'll just run that particular report in this case. So did everybody see that? So when I ran this with a template attached, that report basically just ran. So if I wanted to be able to I'll link that to a different template. Let's say it's going to be something else. Here's my template, Copy of Financial Report S30.xlt. What I would need to do is reference a different template here. So let's have a look at this, S30. So again, I select my report. Here's what I would need to do if I wanted to run any of the other financial reports, is that I'd have to create a brand new template. So in this case, I didn't get a chance to specify exactly what it is that I wanted to run. Because the template has this data residing in a new worksheet. Okay. So if I click on the menu tab, and if I wanted to run a different worksheet, that's no problem. But what I would have to do, first of all, is nuke this particular worksheet. And again, I'm doing this for the first time here. So let's say that I wanted to run the actual budget variance and make my changes in this case. This is a totally different statement. I here. And save this as the template. I would do the exact same thing. I would go into my report manager. And under the report manager, I would click on create a link template. So I select the report that I want to attach the template to. Create a link template. Select the workbook. I'm going to use this workbook. And here what I can do is I can specify the appropriate template name here. So what I might want to do is create a separate create a new template called AE_2.xlt. Okay, so that template is now created. Now what I'm thinking, if I want to run that report again,
Peter, try and run two at the same time.
I'm going to go to my built-in reports.
Still got a map.
I'm going to select my copy of financial reports.
Go back to menu.
So what I'm going to do, when I select the specific report to run, I'll now have to specify the appropriate value for the appropriate template here.
So you just keep running and make the changes, save it as a template, and it's all
Save all of it.
Yeah.
See, Sage soft, Ajax back. EX data equal templates. So now what I would do here is specify the appropriate template. If I wanted to run, there's two different templates here. This is the original template, the copy of financial reports S, and this is for the second report that we run that listed the actuals versus the budget. If I wanted to run the original one, I would select this template here. So let's try running that. Andrea, is this answering a question?
Actually, what I was asking, this is good. What I was asking was if you could create an income statement, two income statements and balance sheet, the tabs going across. And it does work if you just create them all before you create the template. It'll keep all the tabs.
Oh, if you wanted to keep all the tabs.
Right. So then
Okay.
when we ran it, it just created it with those two income statements in the balance sheet.
I believe what's going to happen in that case is that I don't believe all of the tabs actually are going to be intact. I'll try it here.
Actually did just try it.
No, and it ran fine.
Ran fine, yeah.
Okay. All right, good. So again, this is the appropriate one here for that particular XLT. So you're saying that, okay, so you ran a different income statement and you just put something else in here and then it ran again. Okay, okay. All right, but now at least we know what happens. At least we know how to how the templates work here. Okay, does anybody else have any questions? And this is fairly straightforward. Lisa, Chuck, any comments?
Don't ask, please.
Hopefully I'm not putting you all to sleep. Jason, is there anything that you wanted to add?
No, I guess one question I might have, I've been playing with it a little bit. Would you pre-save your tabs, like the income statement, or would you click on that button each time? Is there like an advantage, disadvantage to doing it either way?
Would I pre-save my tabs, or would I have them open again?
You were clicking on the button income statement, and it was generating that income statement for you.
Yes.
And then you had saved that workbook as a template, so that next time you didn't have to click on a button and go through that formatting. Is there any advantage to maybe not doing that, or I'm just thinking about new accounts and that.
So, well, basically, here's what happens. So, whenever I run into when I apply formatting, basically it actually simply formats a particular cell or a particular row or column. That's all it's doing on that particular worksheet. So, I'm just going to run this one more time. Andrea, I got your message here. So, just want to make sure that I answer Jason's question.
Is this making sense to everybody? I'm not really watching it clearly.
Yeah. So far, it's
same thing from the
It's
basic
moving
training.
very slow.
there's nothing.
I was thinking
Run the wrong report here. So basically, you're saying that if I was to run, if I have my income statement open, is there any advantage to having two statements run at the same time?
Yeah, I guess is there an advantage to clicking on this button and saving the workbook with the income statement and the balance sheet already in this workbook, or can you call these buttons like a macro when you run it?
Well, basically, so if I was to run this income statement now and then save it as a template, well, this is automatically going to run the next time, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
So it would take a bit of time generating that statement. So if I have multiple income statements that are going to be running at the same time, it might be inconvenient to the fact that it's got to regenerate every single time that you run it.
Right. I guess my question is a roundabout question. It has to do with the new account and what happens there.
If brand new accounts are added, if brand new accounts are added, it should still. Because what happens at runtime is that the data is still going to be the data will still be refreshed. I think it would be refreshed.
Yep. Can I interrupt here for a second, Ian?
Yeah, go ahead, Randy.
Yeah, there is a benefit to saving the template with those income statements run, because the first time you click that button and you add that income statement or that balance sheet to this particular file, when you create the template, you don't have to click that button again, right? The next time you run it, that income statement is live in the template, and it'll just refresh the numbers.
Okay.
Now, if you need to add a particular GL account, there is a process within the income statement itself where you can add GL accounts and identify where you want it to be placed. But that's not something that you would necessarily need to do as well. If you have added new GL accounts, all you may need to do is just rerun this report from scratch and recreate the new income statement. So perhaps delete the worksheet that was generated for the income statement and recreate, just click the button one more time, and then those new GL accounts would appear.
Yeah, that's what I'm wondering, if there's a lot of new accounts added.
Yeah, all you need to do is remove the income statement worksheet that you generated, and then just regenerate the worksheet.
Right. That's kind of the root of my question, I guess.
Ready? Yeah. Okay, so as you've seen here, whenever I access any of these reports, what I can do here is possible for me to change my template at any time. One of the things that you should also know is if you wanted to actually clear your template, it is possible to clear the template as well. So what you can do if you wanted to clear the template is where it says report template here, select the appropriate report that you wish to print. When it asks you for the name, I can just click on the Open button. I didn't specify an actual file name in this case. And what it's going to do is a pop-up window is going to come up and it's going to ask me if I want to clear the template. I have to close the window first. So it says I haven't selected a template. The report that was previously using the template, and it gives you the name of the template. Do you want to clear the assigned template for the report so that report doesn't use the template again? So what I can do is I can click on yes at this point in time, and the report template is now cleared. So if I wanted to create another template, it's just a matter of rerunning the report and making the appropriate modifications to the report, and then reattaching or relinking that report to the template. Okay, what I was going to do is I was actually going to get everyone to actually create a group and group the accounts together, and then go ahead and link the template. But I don't think I'm going to bother doing that. I think I went through this example many times. So does everybody here have any questions on linking a report to a template? We'll be going over this again anyways. No questions there? All right. Okay, let's have a peek at the at the architecture here again. How are these reports actually made? Let's have a look at the entire architecture first of all. So there's multiple things that come into play. We of course have our ACPAC database. Perhaps we have our ACPAC databases. But what ultimately is going to happen is that the information needs to be able to flow from the database ultimately into Microsoft Excel. So these are our ACPAC databases. What we need to do, or what we're going to do in this class anyways, is that we need to be able to get ACPAC Intelligence to be able to talk to the database and extract the needed information from that database. That information is done via what is called the connector component. There are two primary functions that comprise the connector component. The first function of the connector component is to establish an ODBC connection to the database, in the case of ACPAC. Once the ODBC connection has been established, the second thing that you're going to do is you are going to create what are called containers. The containers contain the appropriate instructions to get the data from the ACPAC databases. So you can state that when you build your container, you can state exactly how the tables are going to be linked together and brought back and stored in that container. Again, I want to talk about that later on, but again, for now, note that the connector component is one, it's used to establish a connection to the database, and two, it is also going to extract the appropriate tables and fields from the database. Once the information exists in the connector, it is then available for querying by the report manager. Note that when you purchase or when you install ACPAC Intelligence, the free edition, that there is actually a connector module that already comes with Sage ACPAC Intelligence, but you're not able to create new data sources using the connector. You're not able to extract new tables from any of the databases using the connector. When you use the free version of Sage ACPAC Intelligence, there are already there's already information in that connector on how to connect to the ACPAC database, and certain tables are also available for use within the connector. Again, once that information resides within the connector, you're going to use the Report Manager tool to specify what information is going to get extracted from the container and get put onto the Microsoft Excel worksheet. So when you're looking at the existing container, when you're looking at the existing data that resides within the container, You can do things like specify what fields come over. You can do things like specify what order the fields are going to appear on the report. You can do things like specify what parameter information is going to be defined such that when the report is run, the user can specify the appropriate criteria that is going to appear on the report at the time of runtime. So again, this is what happens when any report is run. So for example, when I ran that statement report, what's going to initially happen is that the financial statement report, the report manager is going to state exactly what information needs to be put in that report. So it looks to the connector component for that information. The connector component will then connect to the database so that it'll actually extract the appropriate information from the database. Let's talk about the report manager here.
Ian, this is Alicia. Are we supposed to be seeing anything on the screen right now?
Just review architecture and report design. You see that?
No.
No.
I see
Blank.
the blank screen, and then I see all the panelists on the, all the participants on the right-hand side.
Okay, Randy, are you seeing anything on my screens?
Now I can
Now I
see
went
something.
also.
Oh, here we go.
But here we go. Yeah, we're seeing it now.
Okay, I don't know why I'm having this problem on my... Yeah, I'm just gonna, pardon me, I'm just gonna try shutting down an option here on my computer. Okay, so...
That's why it's 2 days training.
Yeah, because 1 day is wasting time, 1 day is training.
Sometimes if I tune down the hardware acceleration, sometimes that helps.
You are no longer muted.
Alright, I'm not finding it here. Okay, so again, these are the components here. You have the connector, you have your report manager.
Ian?
You have your yes?
Sorry, it's Dennis. I just wanted to jump in, and maybe I'm getting ahead of you, but with the connector, you're saying that it grabs data from the databases and stores it. Is it actually creating a new database where it stores it, like a data warehouse, or is it just
There's no data warehouse that's used in this case, unlike, let's say, Insights. So it's actually grabbing, it's just grabbing the data, and we'll go through it later on, and I'll show you how it works.
Okay.
You are now muted.
Nothing that's used at all here.
Can I ask about the external data?
In our database, the connector, we'll go through all of these components. So I'm going to show you how to define the appropriate containers that's going to be used. And I'm actually going to show you how the report manager is going to work here. So let me share my desktop here again.
This part is like whatever was in the
And I'm going to start ACPAC. I'm just going to shut down this other container. Okay, so we have the ACPAC intelligence here. Maybe what I'm going to do is I'm going to start with the connector component instead of the report manager component.
Right. Thank you.
Well, let's talk about the connector component. Let's talk about actually, maybe it might be easier to actually start about creating a report, just so we know how this is done. Okay, so what I'm going to do in this case, let's provide an example. What I'm going to do is I'm going to report off of a flat file. I'm going to report off of, let's say it's going to be a customer report. What I want to do on this particular report is I want to do one thing. I want to have a look at I want to have a look at all of my customers, and I also want to know. Let's say it could be just a simple customers report. So I want to know how much is owing. I want to know their address, their name, and all of that kind of stuff. Okay, so what do I have to do? Well, in this case, what do I need to do? I've got to be able to. I have to know my ACPAC table structure for one. But I also have to be able to configure the Sage ACPAC Intelligence module to be able to connect to the database, get the appropriate amount of data back to it, and then I have to use the Report Manager tool to be able to state exactly what data is going to go into Excel.
You are no longer muted.
Objective. Here's what we're trying to solve for here. Again, what we're trying to do is we're trying to look at, in this first simple example, if you want to get the appropriate
He has to be doing
customer information back to Excel.
Ian?
Yeah?
Sorry, it's Dennis. Nothing's coming through on the screen here.
All right. What I'm going to do here, if you're not seeing my desktop, Randy, what I'm going to do is I'm going to end this session, and I'm going to try log not
You are now muted.
the workstation.
Okay.
Okay, so you're going to have to make me, just bear with me for a second.
I'll switch myself over to presenter for now, and then that'll give you a chance to log in.
All right, sure, that sounds good.
And maybe for everybody on the call, why don't we take like a 5-minute break if that's okay while Ian does this?
Is that good with everyone? It's going to take too long. So we'll take a quick 5-minute break. I'll remain on the line in case anybody wants to ask me questions.
So I'm gonna end the recording.
So go ahead and take over the presenter role.
You mean pause it?